Hello and welcome back into another edition of Intercollegiate Conversations. As today we're pleased to be joined by Josiah Castro, the Deputy Athletics Director for Revenue Generation at Texas A&M University Commerce. Josiah, appreciate you taking the time out and joining us here.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time.
Absolutely. So let's start first just by getting to know you. We always ask everybody to begin the conversation. I mean, how did you break into this industry, working in college athletics? And then how has your path led you to where you currently are now at Texas A&M Commerce?
Oh my gosh, that is a very convoluted answer. So I was a cheerleader in college at New Mexico State and had the best seats in the house. Knew I wanted to work in sports. Had an opportunity to go to Georgetown in sports industry management uh, degree for a master's, and really knew from there I wanted to work in college athletics. I was lucky to get a scholarship to go to school. I'm a first generationer. So my parents didn't go to college. When I told them I was going to college, they said, "Okay, good luck." And so it wasn't necessarily always in the plan for my parents. I love the work. I know that every day when I wake up and come in, I'm making an impact on someone's life. So really wanted that. That's how I got here. Started off at my alma mater, New Mexico State, worked in ticket sales, worked in development, worked in sponsorships, had an opportunity to get the assistant AD position at Cal State Bakersfield, really focusing in on fundraising. Did that for quite a few years, was ready to grow. There was a great opportunity in Corpus Christi for associate AD, chief revenue officer, blending sponsorship, ticket sales, and development all together. And I really enjoyed that because I felt like they should work together and cohesively. Was there for a few years, and there was an opportunity here at A&M Commerce to be the deputy AD and kind of grow and continue my career. And once I interviewed with Jim, and he kind of really sold me on the opportunity here, I was all in, ready to come and start growing what we're trying to accomplish here. So, did that answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll ask you more about specifically, your department now with Texas A&M Commerce. But before we get to that, I do want to ask you over the course of that path that you just laid out, I mean, how much change do you think you've seen in the industry? And I'm not talking necessarily about name, image, and likeness, transfer, all that stuff, but kind of like the behind the scenes of your daily jobs and the way the industry works and hiring and everything. How much change do you think you've seen over the years?
Hiring, I think what I've seen is it is harder and harder to get that pool that you want through the years. I think after COVID, it's been a little tougher, right? There's a lot of people that are looking for that remote job, and college athletics isn't a remote job. So I've definitely seen a difference in that whenever I've posted a job of the quality of the candidates and what kind of candidates we're getting is a little different. I think a lot of people have an image of what college athletics is in their minds, and once you've done it for a few years, you really understand that it's more than just the games. There's a lot that goes behind the scenes to make those games happen, and it's really finding those people that understand that and really, I guess, have a greater purpose for the work, right? We're not making millions of dollars. We're working hard for very little pay, and you're putting in extra hours. But if you love the job, then it's not work.
Yeah, for sure. And I will circle back to that whole point and the idea of trying to hire people. But I do want to ask while we're on the subject of your career and your path, what is something that you know now after all this time in the industry that maybe you wish you knew when you were first starting out that could have helped you back then coming out of college?
Oh my gosh, there's a lot. I tell people all the time how naive I was, and you learn a lot. You get some really great mentors in your life, and I think I've been really blessed because of my career path, working at several different institutions. Uh, they've been Hispanic serving institutions, they've been limited resources, D1 AAA. Now I'm at an FCS where we're in our third year of transitioning from Division two to Division one. I think what it was an open mind, and I embraced that probably 4 years in my career of just have an open mind, be ready for whatever opportunities come your way. Challenging things is one thing, but kind of challenging yourself to see a different perspective and try new things that might be out of your comfort zone getting out of your comfort zone has probably been the reason I'm where I'm at now. Is I just haven't stayed there. I've tried to challenge myself, and I've taken on responsibilities and roles that are definitely more challenging than maybe early on in my career.
I hate the whole, I'm not a salesman, so I hate the whole here's a pen, sell it back to me type of question. But let me give you a chance to provide the elevator pitch. What makes where you currently are, Texas A&M Commerce, because as you've mentioned, you've worked for different schools. Now your path has led you there. What makes that school, that athletic department unique and special from your perspective?
So I think the opportunity here is endless, right? I mentioned the transition from Division two to Division one. So we are in a process of growth, and there's no bad ideas, right? We can try things and it's a safe place. We can explore different ideas to try to drive revenue or drive attendance, and nobody's going to question it, right? Where I think when you've been at an institution that's more established and has those roles, you don't really get that opportunity. The community is amazing. Since I've gotten here, there is a lot of passion for this university. It's over 100 years old. We have, I think, over 100,000 living alums, right? And I've come from smaller schools where that base was a little bit smaller, and you can see the tradition and the history here that you might not otherwise know about because it is commerce and it's a little off the beaten path. But it's special. What we're doing here is trying to be that next FCS school that breaks through and sets a new winning tradition. I think one of the things that really drew me to this place is when they were NAIA, they were winning championships. When they were Division two, they were winning championships. So we know we can win championships here. It's just, can we get the things in the right place to do that at the FCS level?
Might already answer my next question, but I'll ask it to you anyways. What are some qualities, just in general, that you look for in a work environment or have looked for over the course of your career to know that that school is a good fit or the right fit for you to go work with?
Leadership right off the bat, right? And I've had an opportunity to work with some really great athletic directors that have really helped me through my career. Um, I was given advice early on is, hey, make sure your AD and your president are aligned, right? I've always had that opportunity that where I've been, the AD and the president were aligned, and so it worked smoothly for us. I've been very lucky, right? Um, I I like to build, and everywhere I've been, it has been an opportunity to build something, right? Like there was an establishment, but how do we take it to the next level? How do we grow? How do we not just be the small D1 AAA? How can we further progress this university through athletics? And that's what's always excited me. And one of the reasons I took Bakersfield was an opportunity to grow their annual fund. One of the reasons I took Corpus Christi was an opportunity to grow all their revenues. The reason I took this position was, again, there was so much potential to grow and build something. And I take a lot of pride in that because, it's yours, right? You get a little ownership of it. And that's what gets me up every morning and excited to go. And I know that everything I do here is impactful to the student athletes, and whether they know it or not, right? Every dollar I bring in is impactful. Now we want to bring in those millions of dollars, but every dollar can be impactful for our student athletes.
For sure. But let me ask you this. I got a handful of more questions I want to toss your way, but let's get this one out of the way because people, a lot of people don't like bragging about themselves. They don't really like this question. But I will ask you, what would you say are the most important traits for you that have allowed you to be successful and have allowed you to get to where you currently are in your career?
I think on the external side, and I tell everybody this anecdote. My wife is an introvert, right? And early on in my career, one time after an event, she pulled me aside and she's like, "I just don't know how you do it." And I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "How do you go into a room full of strangers and leave everybody's best friend, right?" And it might have been my upbringing. We moved around a lot when I was a kid. My dad was a civilian military police officer, so we bounced from base to base. So I had to learn how to make friends quickly. Um, And I think a lot of that has to do with just learning how to build relationships and authentic relationships. I truly care about what I do, right? I don't sell widgets, right? I'm not in a factory and a cog in the machine of doing something. The work that we do at this level and we get to do is impacting lives, right? And that drives me. Knowing that someone's going to walk across the stage at the end of the year is amazing for me because it has purpose for the job. Definitely grit. You have to have grit. That had came into my preview when I was in ticket sales, right? Ticket sales, you got to have grit. And I never thought I was going to do ticket sales. And then I got in there and it was like, all right, make 100 phone calls today. And you got to get through them, right? To be successful. So the other thing is perspective. I talk a lot about it with my team is you got to have perspective. Everyone has a bad day. Everyone has a good day. Control what you can control, right? But it's perspective that sets you apart. And if you can put yourself in someone else's shoes, no matter if that's a student athlete, a coach, a donor, a fan, your AD, and you can do that, you'll grow.
I think the first part of that answer is also so important because obviously, as you know, I mean, networking is such a huge part, right? Working in college athletics.
And the world gets smaller and smaller the longer you work. I think about when I first got into college athletics and I went to my first conference and I knew nobody. And, again, I'm an outgoing person, but it's awkward when you're trying to know someone and get to know someone and you don't have that. And now I go to a conference or, we travel with our basketball team and there's somebody that we know or football team and there's somebody I know. The world gets smaller and smaller, and that's kind of what I love about it. My athletic director in Corpus Christi worked with my athletic director here in Commerce. And when the job opened, he called me and said, "Hey, have you looked at the Commerce position?" Right? And to have those people in my life that are connected also is great. But yeah, no, the athletics world, college athletics world, it gets smaller and smaller every year I'm in it.
Let me put you on the spot. What would you say is the best piece of advice you've ever been given in life, in work, that you apply to your job and to, this industry on a daily or weekly basis?
Everything happens for a reason. That's probably the one that I live by. Everything happens for a reason, right? You control what you can control, but things will go well if you put in the work and the effort. But a lot of it is everything happens for a reason, and you will be where you need to be, and that's one thing that I've really taken to heart. I don't necessarily looking for the next job. I've just been really blessed that the next opportunity was growth, and it kind of came to me, and I was ready for it and sought after it. So really following that has been kind of my saving grace and keeping me sane.
I want to circle back to something you said earlier about the hiring process, maybe the pool of candidates as well, because it's something we hear from really everybody in college athletics and the administration side in recent years. And it's one of the reasons why we built out Intercollegiate. And we encourage everybody watching this, go check out intercollegiate.co. It's the most comprehensive job board out there for college athletics. But you already just mentioned it a little bit earlier, but just to follow up, dig a little bit more into that. I mean, what's your experience been in recent years in terms of trying to hire people, maybe some of the challenges? What's that process been like for you lately compared to maybe a decade ago working in college athletics?
Yeah, it's finding the right people, right? People make this whole thing work, right? And you gotta find people that can work together and mesh well. It's just like the basketball team, the football team, the volleyball team, right? The teams that win championships, they just mesh right. Doesn't mean that they always agree, doesn't mean that they're best friends, but there's a mesh of personalities that just it elevates them to that next level, right? So for me, it's how do we find the best candidates? And then how do we make sure that those best candidates understand the vision that we're trying to accomplish? So there's no secrets, right? We all have to wear many hats. It's a tough job, but it's a fulfilling job. So who are those people that really understand that and want to come here to grow something and build something, not necessarily just be in college athletics? I've traditionally used what you use, right? D1 ticker, right? Everybody puts their job on D1 ticker and NCAA. And I think more and more in my career, and I was one of these, right? My job in Bakersfield was because my boss at New Mexico State knew the person hiring at Bakersfield and recommended me for the position, right? So it goes kind of back to that networking. And I think that's what I tell young people is make genuine connections with people that you want to work with. And they'll work with you, right? And you talk about the coaching tree, and I've had some really great ADs that have their own tree that I get to be a part of. So when I look for that, I'm looking at who's going to be in my tree and where are those branches going to go later on, right? And who am I going to be getting a phone call for that I want to say, yeah, slam dunk, hire them in a heartbeat, right? And I've been really lucky. I've had quite a few employees where if anybody called me today and said, "Hey, are they a good hire?" 100% hire them right now, right? So I think more and more now is just like coaches have to be better and better at recruiting. So do we, right? We have to not just you don't just throw it out there and say, okay, people see D1 ticker and they're going to apply for the position. You got to reach out a little bit more now than ever before, and it's not necessarily a bad thing because everybody wants to be wanted, right?
Absolutely. And with that said, I mean, one of the things we keep hearing over and over about intercollegiate.co is that everything is in one place with that job board. So, based off of your experience and everything, I mean, can you speak to how beneficial that would be for a tool to have, so much information, all the jobs, everything in a one-stop shop for the whole job seeking and job hiring process?
I mean, the benefits are extremely important, right? I think one of the things that I really like is you can filter down for what you're looking for, right? And you can look at other salaries and make sure that you're on point with your salary. You can look at other job postings that are similar, make sure your job posting is kind of, it's not copying, it's best practices, right? We all like to do whatever the best practice is for our level. So having a database where instead of just hoping someone applies for it, you can look and see who's out there, who's interested, who meets your qualifications, who, for one of our positions, it's not entry level, but it's that next step. Who are those people that are at their entry level who are ready to take that next step? And having that data in one place so you're not necessarily having to call up your buddies and friends going, hey, who do you got? Like you have another resource besides who do you got? Um, you know, I love LinkedIn and what I've been able to do with that a little bit is and my network does it to me all the time. Hey, Josiah, we got an opening in this position. Who do you know? And it's going through the LinkedIn profile and going, yeah, this is who it is. What Intercollegiate does for you is it's all there, right? You don't have to go searching, oh, who was that person and where were they at? So it's definitely a tool that probably takes off a little bit of the pressure of when you're trying to find that right person. And it gives you some data, right? And we are in a world where data is gold. So the more data you can have, the better prepared you can be, and then you can get the better candidates.
The next question might be a little bit redundant because of what you just said and what you just answered, but I'll ask you anyways. I mean, as an intercollegiate partner, you have access to a lot of the advanced features. It might be, like I said, what you just mentioned, but what are some of the things that you would say you're most excited about being able to use to try to help your team excel?
I think it's the filter process of being able to see who kind of meets our criteria or who's out there that is looking for a similar position to us, right? We can be proactive versus reactive with the tool, and I like that. The data aspect of it again is so important, and being able to see in one place all the positions. I think that was one thing that really struck me. And when I took it back to our senior staff to say, hey, we have this benefit, we can use this in our searches because we have a few searches coming up where this is going to be a tool that we can use to help us grow our pool because we want the best pool possible, right? The best problem to have is five people that just knock you off your feet that you really want to hire, right? That's a good problem to have. And I think that tool gets us there.
Putting your job seeker hat on, let's do a little role play here. If you were looking for a job, Uh, Looking around at Intercollegiate or what you know about the platform, I mean, what are the differences with Intercollegiate compared to maybe other job boards you've seen or have used over the years, in your opinion?
Again, it's the just the amount of data. I've utilized WinAD throughout my career, and you guys being a part of that kind of WinAD nexus is one of the things that helps too, right? Like you guys are doing all the back end work to collect the data that we need. So I think that that's something that's helpful too, because it kind of can help with when you're looking for a job. This is an opportunity to help you kind of see where you are in the job market, right? As a free agent, what's your value compared to others, right? And I think that's important. Definitely not looking for the next opportunity. I love it here and very happy here. So I'll be using this on the other end. I won't be using it personally. I'll be using it to hire.
That was our conversation with Josiah Castro, the Deputy Athletics Director for Revenue Generation at Texas A&M University Commerce. We appreciate him taking the time out to join us, talk about his career, his athletic department, and of course, intercollegiate.co, which we encourage you to check out as well. You heard what Josiah had to say. You've heard what we've had to say, but check it out for yourself. Intercollegiate.co. It's the most comprehensive job board out there for job seekers, job hires, administrators in college athletics. Intercollegiate.co. And of course, we ask that you subscribe to our YouTube channel as well so you don't miss any of our future content or conversations with those in college athletics. Until then, life's a series of hellos and goodbyes. For now, we say goodbye.